I'm going to make content for your social media, for your business, easy for you today. I'm not talking about giving you a strategy to post twice a day, 5 days a week, to fill your content pillars or buckets. I'm not locking you in to a system. I'm not giving you something else that you can overthink and then not do anything with. Ask me how I know. What I'm going to give you today is just a way to take some of the brain load off you when it comes to your social media and hopefully get you actually doing the stuff rather than just thinking about the stuff. Make sense? My name's Anastasia. I'm your host, and this is No Grey Suits. I made a thing. If you're watching the video, you will see me holding up the thing. If you're listening, keep listening. I made a little notebook called Your Own Content Idea Collection. Now, you don't have to buy my one. You can use any notebook you like. You can use the notes up on your phone. I don't care. I made this because I wanted it. I wanted something pretty and cute and with little spots to do doodles and yeah, I said doodle. Anyway, this is a spot for you to collect ideas because I can almost guarantee you that sometime in the last couple of weeks, somebody somewhere has asked you a question about your business, what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, a new service you might have offered, something they've seen from you on social media and want to know more about. Now you have to sit there and rack your brain trying to remember it, don't you? Because what do I always say? Every time someone asks you a question about your business and what you do, that's a new content idea. Because a question that somebody's asking you, online, offline, barbecue, school pick, chances are someone else is Googling that same question. And if you can answer it IRL, in real life, you can answer it on a reel, on a carousel, in a post. That helps your audience better understand what you do, know a little bit more about you, and find the answer to a question that they've probably asked. So instead of trying to come up with ideas on the spot when you're trying to fill content buckets or content pillars to post on your social media, flip it around a little bit. Collect all of your ideas as they come to you. Create yourself a swipe file. What's a swipe file, I hear you say? That is where you might take screenshots of different types of content that you have found as you're doom scrolling that have caught your eye and you think, wonder if I can take some of the ideas or some of the structure or some of the hook from that, even if it's from a different industry, and use that idea, hook, structure, whatever it might be, for my business. While you remember it, before it goes out of your head, write the post idea down. Just a couple of words. You don't have to fill out everything about it. You don't have to write the whole caption right now. Where did you get the idea from, and did you save a screenshot? So you know whether to go back through looking for it again to remind yourself when it is time to actually put the content together, or whether it came from maybe some questions you might have seen come up on Reddit. The whole idea of this is not to plan out meticulously all of your content. The idea is to grab all of those little ideas that you have, because trust me, you have them. Write them down somewhere so that you can go back when you are wanting to schedule or post some content and choose from the stuff you've already written down. The other page is actually, did somebody ask you a question? Exactly what I say to you all the time. If somebody asks you a question, write it down. What did they ask? What did I respond? It's actually got a spot not just for what they asked, but how did you answer them in real life, in the real world? Just a couple of notes. Because if you only write down the question, I've found for me anyway, if I only write down the question, I then have to sit there and again use more brain power than I'd like to use, trying to remember, how did I answer that? Because what I said sounded really good at the time, and I know that. But what did I say again? If you've got somewhere, even like I say, notes up on your phone or something like that, specific for saving all of those ideas or questions, and keeping it just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit structured around with the question, what did they ask? How did I answer? Even in just a couple of words to jog your memory later, you're going to make coming up with content ideas super easy because they're already there. You've just got to choose from them. Build yourself a library of things that you can just pick and choose again and again. And for every one of those questions or every one of those ideas that you save and scribble down, no matter how messy, you can come up with multiple pieces of content. This month, you might use that one and do a talking to camera reel, answering the question. Use the actual story. Hey, the other day I was waiting to pick up my 5-year-old from school, got chatting to one of the mums in the line, and she asked me XYZ. And what I said was blah, blah, blah. By putting it into a story and by making a couple of those little bits really specific, you've drawn your audience in. You can tell the story, and people love stories. They don't necessarily like feeling lectured to, but they like hearing a story. And if they can take away a tidbit of information from that, so much better. You can turn one of those into that talking to camera reel, and then in a month or two, you can actually use that exact same idea again and turn it into a carousel. A few weeks later, you can use that exact same idea again and do a text over B-roll style video. And a few weeks later, you might turn it into a story with a poll or a question or another type of clickable element. You might go even further and turn it into a blog post to help your SEO. Or you might go even further and record a podcast episode on it, just like I am now. So, it stops your overthinking. It stops blank page syndrome, which is when you sit down in front of your computer or phone or whatever and go, I know that over the last week I've had all of these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful ideas, but now I can't remember a single one of them because now is when I'm supposed to remember them. It takes it away and it makes it a little bit easier. You've got the content ideas sitting there to just grab in whatever category you like. Once your book starts getting full, that is. You don't just sit down with nothing to say. You sit down with ideas ready to pick and choose from. One, it comes across so much more, and I'm going to use the word authentic. But two, it just makes life easier. And you know what? I get it. My brain is full, just like yours. I have family stuff to worry about, business stuff I have to think about. You know, when we're small business owners, we wear all the hats, right? So why not make this one thing a little bit easier on ourselves? It's kind of like, I like to think of it like, okay, so one of the things I can't stand doing in my business, but I make sure I do really regularly so that it doesn't pile up and I don't sit there at the end of a month or quarter going, is reconciling. Now, I am a little bit behind at the moment, so if my accountant watches this, I know, and I'm so sorry. I'll get to it, I promise, but PayPal's doing my head in. If you know, you know. But if you are trying to do all of the big job all at once, it can be really, really overwhelming. But if you make it a habit to do the little bits of the big job regularly, such as every time you see an idea you like or are asked a question, write it down, it makes the big job not feel so big anymore because you've already carved away at it. So next time you go to sit down and come up with or schedule or film content ideas, all you've got to do is actually put it together, not actually come up with the idea itself, which for a lot of people, I've spoken to a lot of business owners about this, is the really hard part. What should I post about? What do people want to know? And then we start letting our ego or our mindset get in the way of coming up with ideas because we are overthinking it. We start going, people don't really want to hear that from me. Why would they want to know that? You know, how do I know that this might be a good idea or not? And we go down the rabbit hole and we way overthink it. Having a heap of ideas already written down, things that you know people are interested in because they've already asked you, or things that you know caught your eye, maybe from another industry, and you've thought, I can flip that to my industry. Or even if you haven't had that thought yet, still write down what caught my eye about it. It takes the ego part out of it. It takes the uncertainty out of it a little bit. Now you've just got a to-do list instead of a let's overthink this list. We way overcomplicate social media for our businesses. We sit there and think, oh goodness, what is the most valuable thing I can post this week? Instead of just going, Oh yeah, someone asked me the other day how to put captions on a reel in CapCut. I might do a quick video on that. There you go. There's a content idea right there. Someone asked me for some advice the other day on, I don't know, what colours I should use for my hook on face-to-camera videos. There we go. There's another question that was asked and answered and that I could now turn into 3 or 4 different types of content. Now, these are all sort of your more helpful or educational type things that I've used as examples. But it works for entertaining stuff too, especially when it comes to your swipe file. You might actually put down a trend or something that caught your eye. An example I used the other day in a workshop was there was it was a small fashion store somewhere, which is not usually what would show up on my Instagram. But the caption at the top was something along the lines of, they tell you to be successful on social media, not to be too weird. And she had her back to the camera. You couldn't see her face. She was in her store, so immediately I kind of had an idea that it might have been about fashion or store or whatever, but the actual reel had nothing to do with that. That was just giving me that situational context visually. She didn't have to spell it out for me. The reason I clicked on this was I was curious, and the fact that they used the word weird kind of got my attention. Does it have anything to do with my work? No, not really. Maybe a little bit around they told me not to do this on social media. But the things that mostly caught my attention were the curiosity bit. I wanted to see why she had her back to the camera, and the weird bit, because I kind of relate and click on anything that says that it might be a little bit weird or a little bit odd. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe somebody can analyze that. But I saved that to my swipe file. I took a screenshot, I scribbled right over the top of it, because I didn't have my books yet. I scribbled right over the top of it what caught my eye about it, and I saved it. And now, next time I'm trying to come up with content ideas, I can go back to that because it's in my screenshot file, my swipe file. I can go back, immediately see what caught my eye about it, weird, and curiosity. I want to know more. And it was kind of debunking a popular opinion. And I could sit there and go, how could I do something similar in my industry or for my audience? That's a little bit entertaining because I kind of want to know what's weird. I kind of want to know why she's not facing the camera. I'm curious, but a lot less educational. So value doesn't always, I've said this before as well, value doesn't always have to be educational. It can be entertaining as well. And that one was a lot more entertaining than educational. I kind of liked her. It built that know and like part. Didn't build the trust part yet. I don't know that she's an expert in her area yet, but it definitely built the know and like part by being a little bit entertaining. Something that I could click on while I was doom scrolling and maybe get half a snort giggle out of me. Because in the end, I think she tried picking up some kind of fake apple or something and eating it. I don't know what she did in the end, but it was something just silly. And it was a little bit of a trend. So that might be something that I put in my quick write it down section of my book. What caught my eye about it? What bits of it I might want to translate to a reel for my own business later down the track. And I might go back to that in a month's time or something and go, yeah, I could record something like that today. And off I go. I didn't have to actually think of the whole idea. Half the work was already done for me. You don't have to sit down once a week rigidly for an hour and come up with brand new content ideas. You can note down the ideas as they come and turn them into posts later, because forcing yourself to come up with ideas feels like a lot of pressure. Half the time you probably just won't do it. And if you do, the ideas you come up with, I'm really sorry, but are probably going to be a little bit lame. Because you're forcing it to come from a place when you're probably not feeling the creativity and the openness that you need to come up with good content. Good content doesn't come from sitting down and hating what you're doing. We can tell. Trust me. I say it all day. So, you don't have a content ideas problem as such. You've got the ideas. You're just not capturing them. See you next time.